Okay, so you see it everywhere, right? Businesses all over the world are in this massive race to the cloud. They're all chasing that promise of efficiency and innovation. But what you also see is that this big push to modernize often hits a wall, a huge, kind of hidden barrier that can stop a multi-million-dollar project dead in its tracks.
So, what is the hardest part of this whole journey? You might think it's the network, or maybe getting everyone trained on new skills. And yeah, those are definitely real challenges. But the true roadblock, the one that causes the most headaches, is something that most companies just don't see coming until it's way too late.
It's your most critical databases, the ones that have been running the business for years. Just picture a big retail company's product catalog. That one database probably powers their website, their sales team's apps, their analytics, everything. These databases are literally the heart of the operation. And trying to move that heart to the cloud, that's where things get really, really complicated. And this creates a massive dilemma for so many organizations. You know you need to get to the cloud, but the path for your most important data seems completely lost in a fog. For the longest time, you were faced with this really tough choice. There were basically two painful paths you could take. On one side, you could tear everything down and completely rebuild your application from scratch for a modern cloud platform. Or on the other side, you could just kind of copy-paste everything onto a virtual machine and keep managing it all yourself. And let's be honest, both of those options have major trade-offs. Rebuilding for a platform as a service or PaaS sounds great, but it's a massive, expensive, and super risky project. The alternative, just lifting and shifting to infrastructure as a service, or IaaS, means you're not really getting the benefits of the cloud. You're still stuck patching servers and managing the operating system, all the grunt work you wanted to get away from. It's a classic lose-lose situation.
It's an incredibly frustrating spot to be in, right? But what if you didn't have to choose between those two difficult options? What if there was a third way, one that actually gave you the best of both? And that's exactly what we're going to dig into now, this third option that's designed from the ground up to give you the best of both worlds, bridging that gap between the control you're used to and the efficiency of the cloud. And here it is. The answer is Azure SQL Managed Instance. It's built to be that perfect middle ground, a fully managed service that is also highly compatible with the applications you're already running. It lets you modernize without that complete, terrifying rebuild. So what is this thing, really? Well, Azure SQL Managed Instance is a fully managed platform as a service. But the magic is that it's been engineered specifically to make that lift and shift migration as smooth as humanly possible. In fact, people have started calling it the Cloud Lifter because it does exactly that. It lifts you over the hurdles that used to stop you from moving your core databases to a PaaS solution. So how does it pull this off? It really comes down to one word: compatibility. We're talking about nearly 100% compatibility with your on-premises SQL Server, and that is an absolute game changer. And listen, this isn't just some surface-level thing. We're talking about the deep, core components that your applications absolutely rely on. Stuff like cross-database queries, SQL agent jobs, integrated security, the works. This means your existing applications can connect to the database in the cloud with little or sometimes even zero modification. Just think about what that does for your project's timeline, budget, and risk. It's huge. Okay, so we know what it is, and the concept is awesome. But now let's get into the fun part. How does it actually work? How does it deliver on that best of both worlds promise? At its core, it delivers a bunch of key benefits. First off, it's fully managed. That means you can say goodbye to managing hardware or doing late-night patching. It's also always up to date, running on the latest and greatest SQL engine. It has incredible backward compatibility, even supporting systems as old as SQL Server 2008. And it's built for resilience, with disaster recovery features that can protect your data across the entire globe. And we have to talk about security, because this is critical. Your managed instance isn't just sitting out on the public internet. No way. It gets deployed into your very own private virtual network, or VNet. This basically puts it in its own secure, isolated bubble. To connect your on-premise apps to it, you have to set up a secure private connection, like a VPN. It is secure by design from the very start. All right, so the destination looks pretty great, right? But what about the journey? How do you actually get there? Let's talk about the migration process itself, which you'll see is designed to be just as flexible and powerful. One of the most popular ways to do this is with the Log Replace Service, or LRS. And it sounds technical, but the process is actually incredibly straightforward. First, you just copy your existing database backups to cloud storage. Then you kick off the LRS service, which continuously syncs up any new changes. And finally, whenever you're ready, you perform the cutover. It's a true online migration, which means minimal downtime for your business.
And this LRS tool is super flexible, too. It has 2 different modes. There's autocomplete mode, which is perfect for passive workloads where you've got all your backups ready to go. And then there's continuous mode, which is designed for active, busy databases because it just keeps scanning for new backups and catching up the data right until the moment you decide to flip the switch. But for those who need an even more seamless high-tech transition, there's another option, one that offers a true online migration by replicating your data almost instantly.
And this is the Managed Instance Link feature. It's pretty amazing, actually. It uses this really clever technology to create a live, secure connection between your SQL Server on-premises and your instance up in Azure. This allows for near real-time data replication, and that's incredible not just for migration, but also for things like disaster recovery, or even offloading your read-only reporting workloads to the cloud. So, we've covered the what and the how. We've gotten into the nuts and bolts, but let's zoom out for a second and focus on the most important question of all. Why does any of this matter for your business?
While the real-world impact is absolutely transformative, you can finally start modernizing your core legacy applications. You can unlock those cloud benefits, like cost savings and scalability, way faster than before. You can build seriously robust disaster recovery plans, offloading intense reporting, and maybe most importantly, you free up your team from the daily grind of managing servers so they can actually focus on innovation.
When you really get down to it, a solution like Azure SQL Managed Instance fundamentally changes the entire cloud conversation. It just removes one of the biggest, most stubborn roadblocks that has kept so many organizations from fully embracing the cloud.
And that leaves us with one final thought. Instead of asking, how can we possibly migrate this critical database, the question becomes something much more exciting. What could you and your organization really achieve if that migration barrier was completely removed?